Long ago, in a land of pyramids and dreams, a man named Joseph rose from the shadows of betrayal to become the second most powerful man in Egypt. But before the palace, before the fame, there was a pit. Joseph's own brothers, flesh and blood, had thrown him into a dry well. They hated him for his dreams, dreams that one day they would bow to him. They sold him to strangers, told their father he was dead, and for 20 long years Joseph was gone. But God never left him. From a slave in Potiphar's house, to a prisoner, to a ruler interpreting Pharaoh's dreams, Joseph's journey was painful, but purposeful, because God had a plan. Now a great famine swept across the world. Food was scarce, and in distant Canaan, Joseph's brothers were starving. Desperate, they traveled to Egypt, unaware that the ruler before them, the man who held their future, was the brother they had betrayed. Joseph recognized them the moment he saw their faces, the same faces that laughed when he begged for mercy, the same faces that abandoned him. But they didn't recognize him. Joseph tested them, not out of cruelty, but to see if they had changed. He hid his identity. He asked questions. He planted silver in their sacks. And finally, he demanded they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, Joseph's full brother, back to Egypt. When Benjamin came, Joseph watched and saw something different. When he threatened to keep Benjamin as a slave, Judah, the same brother who once led Joseph to the pit, stepped forward and said, "Take me instead." That moment shattered Joseph's heart. They were not the same brothers. They had changed. They were no longer driven by envy, but by love. Joseph could hold it in no longer. With tears streaming down his face, he cleared the room. And then he spoke. "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" His brothers froze. Their world collapsed. The brother they had betrayed lived. They were terrified. But Joseph didn't shout. He didn't punish. He didn't seek revenge. Instead, he wept. He hugged them. He forgave them. And then he said something only a man who truly knew God could say. "Do not be afraid. It was not you who sent me here, but God. God sent me ahead of you to save lives." Joseph saw God's hand in the hurt. He saw purpose in the pain. He saw family over failure. He told them to return to Canaan, bring their father Jacob, and come live in Egypt. There would be food, safety, and finally, after 2 decades, a reunion. When Jacob arrived, old and weary, he saw his son alive. The one he thought was dead had become a savior. And together they wept. A family once torn apart, now restored. This is forgiveness. This is God's redemption. Because God doesn't just write stories of success. He writes stories of restoration. Sometimes the greatest power isn't in ruling a nation, but in healing a heart, just like Joseph. Subscribe for more Bible stories.